Okay, welcome to the signs workshop today. Before we get started, I'm going to do some introductions for the presenters that we have for this workshop today. There's myself, I'm Shannon McEwen, the manager of building permits. We have Stacy Rainwater. She supervises the plan submittal team when you're submitting your applications. We have Terry Kozlowski. She's the manager of building plans exam. We also have Maria Caseco. She's the assistant manager in the comprehensive planning department over the zoning plans checkers. We also have Ray Jones. She's our senior engineer architect specializing in the structural engineering work group. We have Vince Rado. He is our supervising building permit specialist, and he supervises our customer service team and our fee workup team. And we have Emily Bernard. She is the supervisor over the permit issuance work group. We have Matt Brewer. He manages our inspections division. And then Selena and Ava, they're not presenters. However, they do a lot of the background work on this presentation and putting it together and getting it on our YouTube channel and all those fun things. So with that, signs, they're everywhere. We have lots of signs in Las Vegas. And we have all different kinds of signs. On this workshop, we talk about mainly the freestanding wall and monument because those are our main types of signs, but really there's a wide variety of different types of signs. So as you can see here, we have our wall signs like there on the Mandalay Bay where they're attached to the building. We have freestanding illuminated signs. We have monument wall signs where it's actually like a block wall and then the sign gets attached to the wall after it's built. We have roof signs, portable signs that, get moved around and aren't permanently affixed. And then, the sphere. It's a sign in itself and it's the building itself. So it's type of like structure sign there. So the International Building Code Appendix H, which goes over signs, defines a sign. It's a very long definition, and it pretty much says anything that's attention gaining can be a sign there. That appendix in the IBC also defines different types of signs, such as combination signs, display signs, electric signs, ground signs, pole signs, portable display surface, projecting sign, roof sign, sign structures, and wall signs. There are other codes that will be mentioned during this workshop as well, and the definitions that they have for signs that we'll talk about that a little bit later. But something I wanted to also point out really quick before the other presenters begin, in the IBC, we have some location restrictions for signs. Basically that they're not going to obstruct any egress that's required, so people can, egress in an emergency situation. They can't obstruct fire escapes or any type of stairs that we have that are required for egress, doors, or maybe even a window in a residential home or whatever that is required for that egress. And they are not to interfere with any opening required for ventilation. So I encourage you to refer to Appendix H in the IBC to familiarize yourself with some of those code requirements. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and turn over to Stacy in the Plan Submittal Division so she can talk to you about the applications that you make for signs.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So like Shannon mentioned, she provided the definition of sign. I'm just going to kind of give a little bit tweaked version, which is what can be found in the zoning chapter, title 30 rather. And so any writing, printing, lettering, painting, display emblem, drawing, or other attention gaining device used to advertise products, goods, services, or events, or to make anything known, right? So pretty much every sign that is can be included in this category. Next slide. So while every sign is included in the definition, it's important to remember that not every sign is going to require a building permit. So we've given you a few examples shown here, such as like the mobile or portable signs, adhered vinyl signage. You get where we're going here. These signs are not permanent. You can take them down or move them. So those types of signs, while they don't require a building permit, you do want to make sure that you're still following the other codes, like Shannon just mentioned, with the location restrictions, et cetera. So we've given you a little bit of a condensed list here, but the list is quite extensive. So if you want to look at each sign and study what each exemption is, the full code exemption list or permit exemption list can be found online in our library. And there's a little link there for you. And then, of course, if you're still not sure, you can always just send us an email, reach out to us, give us a call and see, hey, you know, I got a weird one. Can you help me figure out if this needs a building permit or not? And we'd be happy to help you or get you to somebody who can help you. Excuse me, next slide. So also it's important to remember that freestanding signs and wall signs require separate permits. And with that, each freestanding sign will require its own permit. So if you've got one wall sign and then two little pylons like are shown here, then that each of those freestanding ones would also then require a permit. And then when you're applying for your sign permit, it's pretty straightforward. We need a completed building permit or sign permit application form. Just like with any other permit, you're going to fill it out completely as possibly or as completely as possible. You always want to make sure that you check at the top whether it's illuminated or not, and that's going to kind of indicate to us what types of plans that we should be expecting to see in the submittal. We're going to need your project location, the ACA contact info, a description of the work, whether it's an interior or exterior sign. The contractor's declaration is important. We want to make sure, 99 times out of 100, it's a signed contractor who's applying for the permit. So it should pretty much always be filled out and signed. We're going to need to know the quantity and type of signs, and then of course evaluation. I just want to point out there at the bottom left, there's a separate area for flagpoles. So if you're looking to install a flagpole, just be mindful of that area there. And then if it's a residential flagpole, the permit type changes. So you're not going to apply for a sign permit per se, because for signs, it's commercial sign. For residential stuff, we're going to go with the residential building new miscellaneous structure permit type. And of course, if you have questions about permit type, you can always just reach out to us and we're here to help you. Next slide, please. And here's just a little screenshot of our customer portal. And you can see you'll be in the commercial building permits category. You'll select commercial sign. Like I mentioned previously, we want to see a completed sign permit application form and then the set of drawings for the sign. And that should always include a dimension site plan, your elevations, and then if applicable, your electrical plans, that would be if illuminated, and then any structural plans or calcs that might be required. And our engineering team is going to go into that further later to talk about when you should be prepared to present some structural plans or calcs. And then with that, I think we're done. And of course, again, if you have questions, that's our phone number and you can always reach out to us by email. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you, Stacy. All right, let's talk to Terry with the building plans examination team so she can go over what they're going to be looking for when they do their reviews.
So plans exam is going to be looking for a vicinity map as well as a site plan. The site plan should be dimensioned, include a north arrow, property lines, street names, existing structures, and if the sign is freestanding, you should provide the setbacks from the property lines and the buildings. The vicinity map can be an aerial photograph, but the site plan cannot. Next slide. The plans provided should clearly indicate the type of sign, whether it's freestanding, wall-mounted, cabinet, etc. Each sign should be dimensioned and should be provided with its square footage. The plans should include the method of attachment along with installation instructions. If you're using an adhesive or a double-sided tape, you need to provide the material specifications so that we can judge whether or not the product that you're using actually can be used to support that sign. You should indicate whether the sign is directly or indirectly illuminated, and the plan should also have the contractor, the designer's name, the bond limit, the contact information for the contractor, and the license type. The plan should also include whether or not the sign is UL listed. For your directly illuminated signs, you're going to want to provide the power supply size and location. You're going to show the location and type of the disconnecting means and that it meets the National Electric Code Article 600.6. You also are going to want to show whether or not it's bonded per Article 600.7. Yeah. On rare occasions, fire protection reports are required. So if you have a freestanding sign that is going to impact site access or the property, a fire protection report may be required. When you're doing tenant improvements, there are a few interior signs that are exempt from a fire protection report, and I've listed those. Those would be light transmitting plastic interior signs less than 100 square feet and LED signs less than 500 square feet. And I think that's it. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call.
Thank you, Terry. All right, now we'll move on to zoning plans examination, and I'll turn over to Maria Caseko to tell us about what they're going to be looking for.
Well, thank you, Shannon. Hi, everyone. In addition to what other presenters already mentioned in the previous slides, zoning, I'll go over just in additional, like what Title 30 we look as the planning examiners, okay? Freestanding sign and monument sign. Freestanding signing as defined in Title 30. A sign anchored to the ground or supported by posts, columns, or other vertical structure and not attached to or dependent onto support from any building. Monument sign, a freestanding sign with a base not less than 50% of the sign's width that is consistent with the architectural style of the top of the sign. Any sign exceeding the permissible height or area of a monument sign or with a base less than 50% of the sign structure width shall be considered as a freestanding sign. Next. Purpose of sign, always we wonder like what is the purpose of the sign. I think we all know is to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the visitors and the citizens of Clark County, to promote traffic and pedestrian safety, to promote commerce and economic development, also to promote aesthetically pleasing and compatible signage. And we have more information in Title 30 if you wanted to. There are additional purposes which I didn't put because we have different types of signage. Next. Applicability. In areas subject to residential adjacence standards, freestanding signs shall not exceed a height of 20 feet, shall not be placed within 60 feet of an area subject to residential adjacence, and are prohibited on lots measuring less than 1 acre in size within a residential zoning district. Next. Required mounting for all signs. Signs shall be mounted to a freestanding support structure. The vertical elements, bracing, and support structures of all signs shall be constructed of materials similar to or complementary to the materials of the overall development. Use of architectural features and elements that are similar or complementary to the architecture of the overall development. Utilize colors, finishes, or textures that are similar or complementary to the overall development, and be covered with cladding to conceal the actual pole or structure support. The cladding must integrate the colors, materials, architectural features, and other appropriate design components of the overall development. Next. This one is an explanation of how when you are designing your signs. I'm not going to go all the readings. I just gave you the samples, and this information you can get you in Title 30. So this is the explanation of a permanent and freestanding monument signs, table abbreviations. So when you look at your in Title 30, you'll see, for example, there's a P. P indicates that the sign type is permissible in corresponding zoning district. A blank cell indicates that the sign type is not permissible in that district unless a sign design review is approved per Title 30 0607A. If a setback distance is not specified in tables below, zoning district setback apply to that. In a commercial complex, for the purpose of determining applicable sign regulations or area within a commercial complex or on a parcel with multiple tenants, should be considered to be on the same property and shall be treated as a single development. So on these tables, two of them I will show you. Like we look at the monument sign, the left column shows the the standards like maximum area, maximum number of sign, maximum height, and the horizontal, it tells you the zoning district, and the PP, it shows you where these types of like a monument sign is allowed and what kind of standards is when you are looking on Title 30. For example, maximum height of a monument sign should be 10. So whenever you are looking, you should look under Title 30 when you are designing your signage, and you'll see different signs on that chapter. Okay, and the same applies on the other one. Oh, it's okay. Next, see. Next. Building and property frontage, unless otherwise stated, for any sign area calculation based on the length of the street frontage, a parcel with the frontage on more than one street may only use the length of one frontage for determining the permissible sign area. Okay, so if you have two streets, only one, and you may want to choose the longer one so you can get more sign area. Okay, next. Clearance. The minimum clearance of a sign shall be measured from the horizontal surface of the ground to the lowest portion of the horizontal projection of the sign. In pedestrian areas, the minimum clearance is 9 feet for any freestanding or projecting sign. See figure 3001. This is under Title 30. Signs located in areas subject to vehicular traffic must have a minimum clearance of 14 feet. Okay, next. Height. The vertical measurements from a finished grade at the base of the sign to the highest point of the sign structure shall determine the sign structure height. Exception, if a sign structure is mounted within 20 feet of a street that has a higher grade level than the site, the sign structure height shall be measured from the grade level of the street to the highest point of the sign structure. Okay, the base of the monument sign or project entrance sign is not included in the calculation of the maximum permissible sign height. And those are the reference of the code section. Okay, next. Maximum area is applied per individual sign unless otherwise specified. Sign with a frame or cabinet. The area of a sign is based on the outer dimension of the frame or cabinet surrounding the sign surface area. The total sign area is the smallest geometric shape or the sum of the combination of the regular geometric shapes, which comprises the cabinet of a frame of the sign. The allowable sign area of a multiple sided sign is not the sum of each face, but it shall be calculated as follows. Typical double-sided sign, the area of one face. Double-sided or V-shaped sign whose faces form an interior angle no greater than 90 degrees, the area of the largest single face. Double-sided or V-shaped sign whose faces form an interior angle greater than 90 degrees, the area of both faces. More than two-sided sign, 50% of the sum of the area of all sign faces. I know sometimes this one is complicated signage, but that's how you need to calculate your, and there's a diagram. Nowadays, we added a diagram to visualize of how you can do the calculations for the area. All the new addresses are signed by zoning plans examination, and normally we look at the plans submitted to identify the main entrance of the property, and that's where we start addressing according to the grid. Okay, next. Grading. All freestanding and monument signs must be shown on the grading plans, and setback must be shown to comply with the zoning they are located in. Civil plans. For new projects doing off-sites, they will be required to show the freestanding or monument signs with their respective required setbacks, property lines, right-of-way lines, site zone, and landscaping easement or other easements which are located on that site. Next. That is our email address if you have questions or you're planning, and you can check with the Title 30 is online. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. All right, we're going to move on to engineering, and I will turn over to Ray so she can present.
Thanks, Shannon. So, engineering is required for freestanding signs when the height of the sign is greater than 10 feet, measured from the ground to the top of the sign, or the sign has a cabinet that is larger than 100 square feet. Also, calculations for the cabinet are required when the maximum cabinet dimension exceeds 12 feet. A geotechnical report is required for all freestanding signs that are 40 feet in height or greater, measured from the ground to the top of the sign. Soils reports in structural design shall conform to the current adopted building code and local amendments. Engineering is required for wall signs when the bottom of the sign exceeds 30 feet above the ground, or when any sign element has an area exceeding 100 square feet, or when a cabinet dimension exceeds 12 feet. Please refer to Clark County Building Department Code Interpretation 208, titled Design and Special Inspection of Signs, where all of this information can be found. When a sign is attached to a freestanding wall, which is already permitted, the sign structural plans and calculations shall include the design of the sign, if warranted per Code Interpretation 208, the anchorage of the sign to the wall, and an evaluation of the wall for the addition of the sign. Alternatively, a Clark County Building Department permit number for the wall can be provided to verify that the addition of the sign was considered in the wall design. Section 1803.2 states that signs that are less than 40 feet in height are exempt from a geotechnical report. When a soils report is not used, the maximum soil code presumptive values shall be used for the design. Where a geotechnical investigation is required, a written report of the investigation shall be submitted to the building department for review. The geotechnical report shall be prepared per section 1803.6, and all geotechnical reports shall be current within the last 12 months or accompanied by an update letter. When a soils report is not utilized, soils site class D shall be assumed per section 1613.2.2. Section 1809.4 states that the minimum depth of footings shall be 12 inches. Where applicable, the frost depth requirements of section 1809.5 shall be satisfied. The minimum width of footings shall be 12 inches. Construction documents shall include the size, section, and relative location of the sign structural framing. Structural connections and means of attachment shall be detailed. The design loads per sections 1603.1.1 through 1603.1.9, including wind and seismic design data, shall be listed. Material specifications shall be included. Also, a statement of special inspection shall be prepared by the registered design professional. Steel special inspection consists of inspection in the fabrication process as well as in the field. Signs manufactured by a Clark County approved fabricator are exempt from having special inspection in the fabrication shop. Signs from an approved fabricator that do not meet the requirements for engineering shall be considered a work of minor nature and do not require special inspection at the construction site. When an engineer indicates steel special inspection is required, even when the design is exempt from special inspection, this requirement will be applied to the permit. All signs that are not fabricated by a Clark County approved fabricator shall have structural steel special inspection for all welds, shop and field, and high-strength bolting, regardless of the sign. Section 1705.3 states that special inspection requirements for concrete. This section does include an exception for isolated and continuous concrete footings supporting structures 3 stories or less, where the structural design of the footing is based on a concrete compressive strength of 2,500 psi, regardless of the concrete compressive strength specified in the construction documents. Special inspection for the sign foundation is based on how the geotechnical report specifies the preparation of the footing. If the geotechnical engineer defines the drilled piers as deep foundations, then special inspection is required for deep foundations and concrete. If the geotechnical engineer defines the drilled piers as shallow foundations, then special inspection is required for grading. Post-installed anchors require special inspection. All of the code references provided here are for the 2018 IBC and Southern Nevada amendments to the 2018 IBC. There are not foreseeable changes to the references or design requirements for the 2024 IBC. If you have any questions, you can contact us here at this email, dsengineer@clarkcountynv.gov.
Hi, this is Emily.
Sorry, I was muted and I'm sitting here talking. Thank you, Emily.
No problem. Once other departments have reviewed and approved your plans, the permit will make its way to our plan coordination team in order for us to add any conditions that will be required prior to permit issuance. As Stacy mentioned earlier, we require a completed and accurate sign application. If one is not provided, we will place a condition requesting a revised sign application, which also must include the citizen access contact that has been linked to the Nevada license number and or a third-party QAA inspection. If you have any questions or concerns regarding your prior to permit issuance conditions, you can reach out to us at that email listed on the slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome.
All right, so once your plan coordination has been completed after the approval of your plans, then it will move over to our fee workup team where they will assess the fees, and I will turn over to Vince so he can talk to you about how that works.
Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon. The fees are worked up or calculated once all the departments have completed their reviews for the sign permit. The sign permit is based on the total project valuation. Project valuation is based on the total contract value of the work, including all materials, labor, electrical if the sign is illuminated, and any other necessary equipment. The table shown on the bottom left of the slide shows the sign permit fee based on the valuation. For example, if the valuation is between $501 and $35,000, the sign permit fee will be $270. A sign plan review fee is also assessed, which will be 65% of the sign permit fee. So if the sign permit fee is $270, 65% of that would be $175.50. Zoning plan review fee is also assessed at 10% of the sign permit fee. So if the sign permit fee is $270, it would be $27 for the zoning permit fee. Additionally, if the sign is illuminated, electrical permit fee of $54 will be assessed. So based on this example, the total fees for this particular permit would be $526.50 for an illuminated sign. For more information on project valuations and how fees are calculated for signs, you can refer to the 2018 Building Administrative Code. This code can be found on our Building Department website under Services, Library, Current Code Ordinance. So restamp process. When the status of the permit is in the pending fee workup stage, all data entry and plan approval stamps are being verified for completion. If the fee workup team discovers any missing information or missing plan approval stamps, the permit will be placed back into review for a restamp. This ensures there will be a complete set of plans issued with the permit. Once the restamp has been completed, the permit will return to pending fee workup status and the fee calculation will be completed. The permit issuance workflow is complete when the fees have been calculated. This will then move the permit to the ready to issue status. The contact person on the permit will be sent 2 separate emails. The first email will inform the contact person that the permit is ready, along with the invoice. The second email that is sent will include any conditions that need to be met before the permit is issued and can be paid for. If you have any further questions, you can contact the fee workup team at ccbd permitfees@clarkcountynv.gov. And that completes the fee workup process.
Thank you, Vince. All right, so now your permit is ready to issue. I'm going to turn back over to Emily so she can talk to you a little bit about the steps that you'll be doing to get your permit issued.
Hello again. So just keeping in mind that the most important thing is that all prior to permit issuance conditions must be met before the system will allow the contact to make a payment. So when you get that second email that Vince was talking about, it's going to list conditions. If it doesn't have any conditions, you're good to go. Otherwise, you have to meet those conditions before you can move forward. We've also added a note here that sign permits that are approved with electrical will be issued inclusive of the electrical scope. They are not issued as separate permits, unlike other permit types issued by Clark County. Please also keep in mind that you must be a Nevada licensed sign contractor with a C6 for erecting sign classification in order to obtain a sign. We also have an area on our website that if you want to see a list of any other conditions, you are more than welcome to go there under our services and conditions of approval under the permit issuance. Now after all the conditions have been met, making the payments once the conditions are satisfied. The contact listed on the application as a licensed contractor can make their online payment. Customers can pay via credit card, an e-check through their bank account, or a trust account or wire transfer. After the payment has been made by the contact, they will be emailed both a copy of the receipt and the permit, and then the plans will be made available for download by the customer. If you happen to have any questions about wire transfers or trust accounts, please reach out directly to our finance department for assistance at the email shown here on the slide. And again, if you have any questions or concerns regarding permit issuance or prior to conditions, please reach out to us directly.
Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome.
All right, so you got your permit. Let's get out in the field and start erecting that sign. And this is where our inspections division comes into play. So I will turn over to Matt Brewer, our manager of inspections.
All right, thanks, Shannon. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. So yeah, signs, there's a lot of variations of signs out there. And so I'm just going to go over the most common ones we might encounter, the 99 percentile. A monument sign similar to this one. The inspections that would be required for this would be a foundation inspection. If you're site building the sign cabinet in the field, then we would need some sort of framing and maybe a lath inspection for the backing. The monument sign itself there on the wall would, the masonry pre-grout inspection would be required for the wall section. And then we would need the electrical inspections for illuminated signs, and then final inspections for both electrical and building. Okay, next slide. So foundation inspections, there's different types. We have maybe a caisson or a drilled pier, the spread footing with anchor bolts, or a continuous footing for a wall on the right. Those are some examples of your foundations. You would need, some of them might require soil compaction and bearing capacity verification with a grading inspection. But after excavation and prior to the concrete placement, we'd be inspecting the reinforcing steel and the anchor bolts. And if noted on your, during review, if it's noted that QA inspections are required, then you'd have to have those performed by the third-party special inspector before you schedule the county inspections. Okay, next slide. So like the really large billboard signs or monument or even the pilaster signs, like the ones in front of the Aria or the big casinos, if there's a caisson or a type pile or a pile type foundation, it may not require inspections from us if there's a third-party item R or P specified. They'll do all the inspections because it's kind of time sensitive. The caisson will be dug out, the reinforcing steel will be inserted, and then there'll be a continuous inspection of the concrete placement all at the same time, because you can't really leave those exposed for, while waiting for other inspections. So the special inspector will perform all those inspections just linearly without delay. All right, next slide, please. So the structure of the sign, if you're building the sign on site, then again, some of these things are redundant. You'd have CMU for the wall. You might have framing for the cabinet. If it's a prefabricated sign body, then like Ray brought up during the engineering section, that you'd want to make sure that you're using an approved fabricator. Because if it's not, then the metal cabinet may require welding inspections from the QAA on the site. And all the steel components, again, if they're not from approved fabricator, they're going to require full special inspection once they're on site. Okay, next slide, please. And electrical. So all the signs, fixed, mobile, portable, outline lighting, photovoltaic, powered signs, retros. Doesn't matter what the voltage is. They all shall be listed and labeled, provided with installation instructions, and installed in conformance with that listing, unless otherwise approved by special permission. Special permission would be, an alternate means and methods request, or maybe something really unique, and you'd have to have an NRTL come out and do a field listing on that sign, on the electrical sign components. Okay, next slide. The next kind of sign we'd have after monument would be these storefront signs. So our inspections would include the sign placement, or we're looking at the size, the shape, the orientation is per the approved plans. We want to see the attachment methods to make sure they comply with the engineering and the approved plans. We're going to be looking for the nationally recognized testing lab labels to be affixed to the signs, showing that they are listed and labeled. And then we perform the electrical inspection. A lot of these have existing circuits because it's one store moving out, another moving in, but we want to still verify that those wiring methods are compliant and that the overcurrent protection is still valid for the sign, if it's changed or not. Okay, next slide. So again, these are kind of typical, maybe not always typical, but these are the attachments we'd be looking for that sign to affix to the wall. Could be screws, could be all threads and nuts and washers, could be bolts, could be just stuck on there with double-sided tape. No, not really. Okay, next slide, please. So NRTL, I had mentioned that. So a nationally recognized testing lab. The list of these labs are on OSHA's website. UL is probably the most well-known, but all of these are NRTLs that do the same work. They're independent labs who perform certification for certain products to ensure that they meet the requirements of both the construction and the general industry OSHA electrical standards. So yeah, you want to be looking for one of these agencies to affix their seal to the sign. And they're probably not affixing it themselves, but they vet the sign manufacturer, and the sign manufacturer gets issued these labels to affix to their construction as long as they maintain accreditation through one of those labs. Okay, next slide. And electrical inspection. So if you have a monument sign or a freestanding sign, you're going to have underground electrical running from the distribution panel out to that sign, and these are some of the general requirements. If you're using a different, different types of wiring methods are going to have different depths, and then also different locations are going to have different depths. So if you're going under a parking lot or a driveway, then you'd want to follow those columns down on on table 300.5 to find out your burial depths for electrical. All right, next slide. And then Terry brought this up. It's very important. The disconnecting means, where they should be located. Typically, they're at the point of entry of the sign, or within sight of the sign. But if it's a really large sign and there's portions that cannot be seen from the disconnect, then the disconnecting means shall be lockable, and then a permanent field applied marking needs to be installed to identify the location of the disconnecting means inside the sign, so that it's visible during servicing. Or if it's a LED or one of these video motion signs, then the disconnect should be within sight of the controller of those kind of signs. Okay, next slide. And then I know we brought it up before, but it's important. All the metal components of the sign shall be bonded together and then grounded. So it'd be grounded using the equipment grounding conductor of the supply branch circuit. And you can use any of the types of grounding conductors specified in 250.118. And then bonding, all the metal parts will be bonded together to reduce variance in the metal parts. You don't want to have a shock hazard if one part is electrified and another's not. You become the conductor between those two if you touch them. So very important that we bond those metal parts. Okay, next slide. And that's it. I mean, there's so many different signs out there. Just if there's any questions you have, anything specific about your type of sign, just don't hesitate to reach out to all of us, and you can reach out to us here at this website. At this email and the phone number. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. All right, so at the getting near the conclusion of our workshop, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer, and the disclaimer is that, all the information that was presented today, it's going to be valid for a while, right? But we are always trying to make improvements to our processes and our procedures, so they could vary slightly as we make those improvements. We do listen to our customers' feedback. We take it very seriously. You might take us a while to implement that improvement, but we do work on it, with our IT team or our software developers and so forth. So to get the most current information, make sure you're visiting our website to get that information. And then here's just some links to our website and our information. As I had stated in the beginning of our presentation, we do have a YouTube channel now, and you can see the recording of this website minus the live question and answers that are coming here right after this. And we would be happy to also send you a PDF copy of this presentation if you would like one. Just reach out to our customer service team at pacenter@clarkcountynb.gov. That's PAC-ENTER. PAC stands for Permit Application Center. A lot of people wonder why that weird email. It's been around a long time. Or you can also call them at 455-8972 and they can give you a copy. So with that, Ava, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we will go live with our customers that are present here today.